self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this morning. You know, there's a couple of issues that Americans should be outraged about. And one of them is the vote that went down yesterday at the House that failed to curb the NSA's data collection on Americans. I cannot believe that these scumbags betrayed us again. With all of the public furor over that, with all of the outrage, with all of the yelling and the screaming and the clearly abusive tactics, they sided again against you. 94 Republicans voted in favor of it. In other words, blocking the NSA from any more funding to do this project, which would have killed it. And 134 voted against it. Republicans. 83 Democrats were against it. 111 Democrats were for blocking it. How is it that the Democrats are more responsible on this issue than the Republicans? Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever wanted proof that you have been sold down the river by your chosen party, this be it. Absolutely disgusting and shameful. I don't care what kind of excuses that the clapper and the NSA can come up with. I don't care what this treasonous traitor in the White House, who's not even a legitimate American citizen, says. This is treason. Mark those words. For those of you who think that's too strong a word, just wait. You'll be using it soon. And what's frightening is that you haven't used it enough. If you'd been using it for the last 15 years, we probably wouldn't be looking at this now. I am just disgusted, and you should be too. 134 Republican representatives sold you down the river. Sold you out. It's okay for them to collect your phone information. I don't care whether it's metadata. I don't care what it is. There's no damned excuse for it. It's inexcusable. It is a Fourth Amendment violation. It is unconstitutional. It is betrayal of their oath of office. And when you betray your oath of office, you define that for me. What do you call it? When you sell out your constituents, what do you call that? When you've been elected to perform a function and represent them, not just a job, because your decisions and how you vote affect millions upon tens and hundreds of millions. I'm embarrassed to call this America. $600 billion. $600 billion. And they couldn't strip that out. Republican Representative Tom Cotton, Republican Tom Cotton, endorsed the NSA program, says the metadata being collected is essentially a 5-column spreadsheet containing the number called, the number of the caller, the date, the time, and the duration of the call. You know what that's called, people? Evidence. Evidence. Evidence to be put into your dossier, to be used against you at a later time and date. And we are allowing it. The program has stopped dozens of terrorist attacks, says Cotton. That means it saved untold American lives. This amendment does not limit the program. It does not modify it. It does not constrain the program. It ends the program. It blows it up. Exactly. That's the idea. Tom Cotton, you're a traitor. You're a traitor to America. You're a traitor to your constituency. Republican representative leadership? No. Traitorism. Treason. That's what you're guilty of. Treason. Your constituents ought to go ahead, get to Washington, drag you back on a plane, and charge you in your state with the crime of crimes against the state, crimes against the people, crimes against humanity. He goes on to say that a comprehensive set of phone call records is needed in order for the program to work. I don't really care. I'm tired of being led astray, force-fed this diarrhea that we should all be terrified of a terrorist lurking around every corner when the terrorists who are terrorizing us are based in Washington, D.C. I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of you. The terrorists in the United States of America populate Washington. And if you'd close the damn border, we'd have even less to worry about. But God forbid you do that. You don't want to close the border. I mean, unbelievable. You won't close the border, and then you tell us we got to fear a terrorist hiding behind every bush and every tree and every rock. The only terrorist actions we have to fear in the United States of America are what come out of your mouth and what come out of your votes. What comes out of the bills in Washington. Democrats, Republicans, the House, the Senate, the White House, every extra constitutional administrative agency, every damn one of you have sold us down the river under the guise of protecting us. And it's like a thug mob game. You need protection from us. Let me tell you something. Your odds of being killed by a terrorist attack in the United States of America are minuscule, microscopic. Your odds of a dossier being built against you right now are 100%. The odds of a dossier being built against you for use against you at a later date, when you speak out at some point in the future, when it's virtually too late, 100%. The odds of that dossier being built and designed to collect all of your personal information, your financial information, your health information, 100%. Shameful. Shameful. Because when they close this door, and they lock this nation down under martial law, they're going to know exactly who to go after. Every patriot, every true American, because they got a dossier to back it up. loaded with evidence. Every email, every phone call, metadata and content, every purchase, every financial transaction, and they'll know exactly who to go purge. And if you don't think purges happen, go look at every other totalitarian takeover in every other historical context, and you'll see that the first thing they do is they get rid of the opposition. And we're letting them figure out who it is right now. You don't think you're on a list already? I'm afraid to be on a list? Let me tell you something. You're already on a list, and it ain't a good one. They have your demise intended, plotted, schemed, connived, and planned. And I'm embarrassed to say that we've allowed America to come to this. I'm embarrassed that the conservative thought process in America calls 100 and how many of them? How many of these traitors? Let's see. 134 Republicans. They call them legitimate representatives. I call them what it is. Betrayers of their oath. Traitors. Treasonists. Statists. The enemy. And if you call them any less, you better do a check on yourself. "111 Democrats supported ending this, only 94 Republicans. How is it the Democrats outweigh the Republicans on freedom? I'm going to tell you how. Because the Republican Party is loaded with traitors. Traitors. Traitor. Betrayers of the oath. Violators of their oath. Betrayers of their sacred oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign, and, emphasis employed, domestic. Tom Poe, a Texas Republican. The government's gone too far in the name of security. Rein in government invasion. No more dragnet operations. Get a specific warrant based on probable cause or stay out of our lives. That, ladies and gentlemen, are the words of a patriot. I don't know where he stands on all the other issues. I'm not a Texan. But I can tell you on this issue, he stood on the right side of liberty. He stood on the right side of freedom. He stood on the right side of his electorate. He stood on the right side of the United States of America and the Republic to which he swore an oath. Joe Barton, another Texan. The issue is not whether the NSA was sincere or careful in collecting data for use in anti-terrorism operations. Quote, it is about whether they have the right to collect the data in the first place on every phone call on every American every day. He notes that the law only allowed collection of relevant data, quote, in the NSA's interpretation of that, relevant is all data all the time. That's simply wrong. Where's our Fourth Amendment protection? Where is it? Sold down the river. U.S. spy chiefs, the White House, senior lawmakers overwhelmingly poured into this intelligence briefing and joined the ranks to curb the effort. Let me tell you something. When a tyrant tells you that it's in the country's best interest if he can continue acting like a tyrant, that ought to tell you everything you need to know. James Clapper. I mean, who the hell is this guy that he wields the power to sit and monitor every American all the time, 24/7? You know what else? I'm going to take this home. Jason Smith, the new representative for the 8th District, who I tore up, righteously so, for failing to appropriately notify and give those folks who fought against the Blue Way an appropriate opportunity to either testify properly, someone who was actually invested in the fight, and or submit written testimony so that it could be read into the congressional record. He's the only one out of the entire Missouri delegation that stood up and voted against this amendment, or voted to ban it. So let me tell you something, America. Let me tell you something, Missouri. A brand new freshman, wet behind the ears, the votes aren't even dry, and he stood up. The rest of you pusillanimous pipsqueaks, you little puke-wielding vomit, I'm telling you, I am so angry right now at you Missouri representatives. Where were you? Where were you to defend your country? Where were you to defend your state? Where were you to defend the people who put you into office? You should be ashamed of yourself. What, because Clapper and Obama and a bunch of scumbags out of this administration told you that they needed it? The hell you think Hitler told his guards and his staff and his administration? Well, we need these new laws. And they gave it to them. You have betrayed your constituents. You have betrayed your country. You are a traitor. Man, woman, every last damn one of you. For Smith to be the one lone voice in the wilderness to stand out against this is reprehensible. Not on his part, on your part. Your part, because you're the traitors. I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed to call this government. This isn't government. This is a dictatorship. I don't care what evidence you think they showed you. If you are not smart enough to read between the lines and discern truth from fiction, truth from propaganda, you've got no business in that job. If you, as an elected representative, cannot identify the difference between propaganda from an administration that is acting in open, undeclared treason and tyranny against the American citizenry, and you do not have the ability to discern fact from fiction, get the hell out! Get out! Go home! You've got no business representing us because you failed us. You failed to protect us. You failed to interpose and stand on the side of righteousness and right and truth and honor and integrity. If it was willful, or if it was just stupidity, it neither is an excuse. Every person from the Missouri delegation, with the exception of Jason Smith, voted to allow them to continue to monitor you. Missouri, you should be storming the damn castle with pitchforks and torches in a peaceful, massive, civil, disobedient march. Not a one-day march, an occupation, a siege. This coming session, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I want to see the Missouri state legislature step up, grab their package, and do the right thing. I want to see all of you submit a state piece of legislation that says the NSA is banned from activity within the state of Missouri on any American citizen. That's a 10th Amendment declaration I'll stand behind all day. And I also want to see you make it so that we can grab a hold of these representatives who openly violate their oath of office and remove them. That includes the 2 traitorous senators that we've got up there as well. It's time for states to take a stand. We've lost our federal government to tyranny. So the only way that we're ever going to be able to get control of this and get a hold of this is by stepping up and saying, we're going to pass state legislation that prohibits what we know to be treason. We're going to pass state legislation that stops this. I want to see Missouri lead that fight. I want to see this state step up and say, our state legislature will not allow our citizens and our state members' rights to be trampled. I dare you. And those of you who in Washington who betrayed us, don't you dare come back. Get out, stay out, move to some place on the left coast or the right coast where tyranny and treason are welcomed and accepted. But don't you dare come back to Missouri. You've been kicked out of your house. You're not welcome here anymore. You're listening to America's Voice. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. On YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. Share this and every other show that we do, but share this one with everybody in your federal and state constituencies.
From West Plains, Missouri, it's KBMV Birch Tree.